right, man. One of my boys and subs, Greg, went to the game last night. I wish he would have recorded this or Monday night. By the time you see this, to be Wednesday. Don't look like the Lions gonna make any good trade. So I thought I was gonna have to push some videos around, but nonetheless, he said that he was watching Jameson warm up before the game. And he said Josh Reynolds and I want to say Amon-Ra St. Brown was going through the drills, and J-Mo was disengaged from going through the receiving drills, and he was bullshitting through the receiving drills, talking to the fans, and didn't look like he wanted to be there. And what it brought to my mind was that, remember when Jameson Williams got drafted? Okay, this is just a theory. I trust Greg. He was at the game, and I believe what he's saying, right? But remember he got drafted and people were saying he didn't want to be here. Remember that? Like he didn't look happy to be there. Then he started smiling. I think, and then you kind of go to what, Brad Holmes said, he needs some maturity. And maybe that's why he didn't play at Ohio State, but not to get off the subject. Brad was like, well, he needs some maturity and this, that, and the third. Right? And I started thinking, maybe he just don't want to be here, and that's why he's not engaged and he's trying to find a way out of Detroit. Because, me and Greg was talking another time. He was like, man, I watched him at Alabama. You know what I'm saying? And this ain't the same player. And I said, I watched him, and he damn showed him like the same player. So the only thing I could really think of, you can say, well, him and Goff don't have a rapport, and he don't like Goff, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? People still make plays. Randy Moss didn't like none of the 1,000 quarterbacks he had in Oakland, but with the Raiders, he still made plays. Look at his numbers. He just wasn't winning. And maybe Jameson Williams just don't want to be here. I think maybe he just don't want to be here. And it's a wild theory, and maybe people think I'm a little bit crazy, but and check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist, but he told me that yesterday, and it kind of resonated back to the draft when people was like, well, he didn't look happy to be drafted here. He didn't like he wanted to be here. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he trying to find his way out of Detroit. Because he said, yeah, man, he would need to be the main person going through the drills, taking the drills seriously. He bullshitting around, not really doing the drills, talking to the fans, looking disengaged. And I'm paraphrasing, but that's for the most part what Greg said. And my thing is, maybe the effort ain't there. Maybe he legitimately doesn't want to be in the city of Detroit. He don't like the quarterback. He dropped another ball Monday night. Could have been a better thrown ball, but I think that ball was supposed to be placed there, and he was supposed to make that adjustment. That adjustment was to protect him and get him closer to that sideline. And he made an over route. He caught a ball across the middle, on an over route. But I'm starting to really think maybe he literally don't want to be here. Now, a lot of people hear Troy Aikman say, once he gets this together and figured it out, and I think people saying once he figured it out and people giving him the benefit of the doubt, and people say, well, he don't got the reps. He coming off the knee injury. And this is why one of the reasons I said he shouldn't have played last year. One of the reasons I said they probably should have saved him, make sure he was 100% and came back. But it's kind of, in my mind, and I could be completely wrong, in my mind, it's starting to make sense, bro. It's starting to make sense. It's starting to make sense. It's starting to make sense that maybe he just don't want to be here. Maybe he trying to get out of Detroit. He don't have the leverage to ask for a trade. If he ball out, they control him. They can control him up to 7 seasons. He's a first-round draft pick, 5 under the rookie deal, 2 under the tag year. That last tag year is very expensive. The first tag year expensive now. So maybe that's the case. Maybe he literally don't want to be in Detroit. And I remember people say he was drafted and didn't look like he was happy to be selected here. You think about all the traits they say, well, we looking for, guys who love football, high character guys. even if somebody somewhere they don't want to be. I was watching a little bit of that Charles Woodson interview he did with the Pivot, which he's my favorite college football player of all time, one of my favorite National Football League players of all time, definitely college football player of all time. It's him, then it's Ricky Williams. He was part of me being a hardcore Michigan fan. Charles Woodson was the ish when I was growing up. I mean, he was the only defensive player, I think, in the 86 year of history, I think still going, to win the Heisman. I mean, he ran it over Peyton and Randy Moss. Peyton Manning was a habitual choker at that Tennessee, though. He choked his last year, and then the next year, T. Martin won the championship. My dad, he had the Tennessee hat, brand new Christie from that year, and they threw it out. But nonetheless, but I'm starting to think that maybe he trying to play his way out of Detroit. And them Alabama guys, man, from Henry Ruggs to Trent Richardson, and I'm D-milling a few of them, man. Some of them Alabama guys ain't looking too good right now. I know some other ones I can't think of, but some maturity issues going on there, bro. From everything, bare minimum you get from this video, it's some maturity issues, but some real maturity issues. I was hearing from around the city, you see them at Coney on 6 Mile and Schaefer. Here he give out money to the kids, to the water boys, to the kids. He donate, he do camps, he look out for the kids and stuff. But there's some maturity issues there for sure. Now, Brad Holmes said that we need him to mature. I mean, from everybody you drafted, they seem to have a level of maturity. Maybe, guys who ain't really panned out, like Anna Zorky, guys that ain't panned out, Pascal yet, they have a level of maturity. Amon-Ra St. Brown, a level of maturity. Jahmyr Gibbs, you see a level of maturity. See Jack Campbell, maturity. Brian Branch, maturity. Sam Laporta, maturity. So we're going down the list of guys. Panisa Well, maturity. I'm just going to throw this out here. This is the last thing I'm going to say because it's just my hypothesis, right? And I say this. It seemed like what they did was they sat there and they it's kind of like if you're a woman, you meet a nice guy, and most women go off looks. And that way, that's I'll tell you, that's y'all little life lesson right now, especially in the black community. If you look the part, they don't care if you ain't got no job. They don't care if you take them to the Cheesecake Factory. They don't care if you invite them to their house on the first date. They gonna be interested. Black women, they've 1 through 4, all they care about is looks, then money and status after that, right? Or it's like you a man and you find this fine female, she out your league, so you waive all your unbreakables or you waive all your requirements. She fine, you don't care about nothing else, her being broke, her being, her having a bad attitude, you just focusing on her just being bad. You just like, fuck it, I ain't never had a bitch this bad. I want to see what this shit like. I don't care about none of her red flags. You know what I'm saying? Then you have a baby bar. Then you crying to the internet. You crying to your family how she dogged you out. You already knew what it was. That's what the Lions did with Jameson Williams. Right? They was moving up for Garrett Wilson. I think they would have took Chris Olave, 2 guys that started over him at Ohio State when he was there. I think what they did was they fell in love with the speed. They fell in love with the value. He would have been, quote unquote, top 5 had he not failed, right? They fell in love with the athleticism, the speed. He was not a Detroit, Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell type of player. And they ventured off from their scale. He was an exception to the rule, and they took a chance on him, and right now it's biting them in the ass. So check out Detroit Lions Talk playlist. I could be wrong. It's just a hypothesis. It's a theory. Hit the link tree. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, X, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Appreciate y'all for supporting the channel. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Check out my new channel, Free Game 89, FR33 Game 89. That link's in the link tree. Check out my main channel, Goodfella TV. That's in the link tree as well, too. Peace.